Hello everybody, Travis here for Tpull's Corner, and we are playing yet another one of the Premade decks that Wizards of the Coast made, and they did things differently this time. Instead of making them for Standard, they made them for Alchemy. And this deck is called Sylvan Wisdom. It's blue-green, and it's a little bit different from the others. But Arwen is really a perfect draw for the opening. When you scry, you get a +1/+1 counter on her. Or any other target creature that you so choose. Let's see. How do we want to do things? We have so many choices here. I think we just attack to start with. Flash in the Grey Havens Navigator. And do we need... yeah, we need one more land. Pop up Arwen. The Sylvan Wisdom deck is different from all the others. With the other decks, they made mostly standard decks, and then they added in one or two alchemy cards. You can see by Elspeth's command there's an alchemy card. Or they added in like a couple alchemy cards and one or two Lord of the Rings cards. And in this case, this deck is mostly Lord of the Rings cards with a couple of other standard cards to help out. And I think we'll just get rid of that flyer now, if we can. And then we're going to scry. And our opponent has already had enough. They get a very powerful alchemy enchantment, but they don't want to hang around. Alright. Well, let's go ahead and show you the entire deck. Starter decks, Sylvan Wisdom, Simic colors, and this is basically a Scry Matters deck. And if you scry, there's so much synergy, you can't help yourself. So 3 Elven Farsights, you scry 3, then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, you get to draw the card. Impede Momentum from Dominaria, tap target creature, put 3 stun counters on it, and you scry 1. So they went looking for... They already made a Scry Matters kind of mechanic in Lord of the Rings. Then they went out and they found other Scry cards throughout the rest of the sets that were available. Lost Dog Calling, whenever you scry, put a verse counter on this enchantment. For 6, you can exile it and draw a card for each verse counter on it. And if it had 7 or more verse counters on it, you actually take an extra turn after this one. That's a powerful card. If I can get to the extra turn thing, I will try. Nimrodel Watcher. Whenever you scry, Nimrodel gets +1 and can't be blocked. It can only trigger once each turn. A couple of bite downs for creature fighting removal. Glanowar Loam Speaker. Add 1 mana of any color. Lothlorien Lookout. Whenever Lothlorien Lookout attacks, say that 3 times fast, you get to scry 1. And Arwen Undomiel. Whenever you scry, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and for 6 you get to scry 2. So she empowers herself with the scry when you get enough energy. Mirror of Galadriel, scry 1 and then draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. And let's see, we've got Arwen, we've got Glorfindel, we've got Nissa, we've got Azuri, we've got Elrond, and we've got Celeborn the Wise. So half a dozen legendary creatures. So depending on how many we can get out and keep safe, this could technically be free at some point in the battle. We just saw Grey Havens Navigator. You can flash that in, scry 1. So a lot of these, you have the legendaries have some sort of nice ability whenever you scry, and then the companion pieces that aren't legendary, they sort of enable the scrying itself. Enchantment Elves, I like this. 3, you get a 3/2 for 3 whenever you scry. Put a +1/+1 counter on the elves. It only triggers once each turn. And you'll notice that a lot with a lot of these here, like Nimrodel Watcher, Enchantment Elves. Because the synergy is so good, almost all of them say this ability triggers only once each turn, because you really don't want to have these pop off multiple times. And depending on what kind of cards you have in your hand, you can scry 3-4 times in one turn. We've got Glorfindel Dauntless Rescuer. Let's see if I can't highlight her for some reason. There we go. Legendary Elf Noble. 3/2. Whenever you scry, choose one, and the Rescuer gets +1/+1 till end of turn. And either it has to be blocked if able, or it can't be blocked by more than one creature each combat this turn. And notice the phrasing that they used on that is very purposeful, just because there are cards that give you more than one combat turn. So if Glorfindel attacks and you say can't be blocked by more than one creature each combat, it could maybe have blocked the first time, and if it survives, then the second combat, then you could still block with one creature. It's not going to come up in these battles, but there are other cards. Nissa, Resurgent Animist. This one's for the Aftermath card with landfall. You get to add a mana of any color when it enters the battle. If it's the second time this ability is resolved this turn, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you get to an elf or an elemental card, and you get to put that into your hand. Tribute to the World Tree. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card if power is 3 or greater. Otherwise, you get 2 counters on it. Celeborn the Wise. Whenever you attack with one or more elves, you scry 1. And whenever you scry, it gets +1/+1 for each turn, until the end of the turn, for each card looked at while scrying this way. So this is usually, because of the other cards, you're only going to want to scry once, because the benefit only happens once per turn. This is where you might change things up, especially if you think Celeborn's going to get a free hit on your opponent. And then you just try and scry and look at as many possible cards as you can in one turn to just give a whole bunch of +1s. Galadrim Guide. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2. So you've got it. Like when you're entering the battlefield, things that happen when you scry, things that happen when you attack, you can scry. Just basically, they've got cards in here. No matter what you're doing, sitting on the toilet, you scry. I'm sure that's a card in here somewhere. Elrond, Master of Healing, 4/4 legendary. Whenever you scry, put a +1/+1 counter on up to X target creatures, where X is the number of cards looked at while scrying this way. Whenever a creature you control with +1 counter on it becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Azuri, Stalker of Spears. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 3 if you do proliferate twice, and whenever you proliferate, draw a card. This one's kind of tough because you sort of need 7 mana to make it really kick, and that means you really don't want it early, but you tend to get it early. And so a lot of times you'll get this and there's nobody with any counters on the field yet. Marwyn's Kindred. Conjure a card named Marwyn the Nurturer and X cards named Llanowar Elves onto the battlefield. So you got to have 4 to start with, and then you add the X. So if you have 6 mana, you could get 2 elves. There's Marwyn you see to the right. Whenever another elf enters the battlefield under your control, it gets a +1 counter. So if you're conjuring 2 elves, it's going to add 2 +1 counters and make Marwyn a 3/3 right away. Those are the Llanowar Elves right there. And you can tap Marwyn and add an amount of mana equal to Marwyn's power. That's an Alchemy card. And finally, Desynchronize. Target non-land permanent's owner puts it at the top or bottom of the library, and you scry 2. So you notice it's not an expensive deck overall, but you do have, for Azuri you want 7, for Marwyn's Kindred it's an X spell you want as much as possible, and then you got a couple of 5-drops. And out of the 10 premades, I had a kind of a favorite with Grave Secrets. I don't know, maybe Sylvan Wisdom gives it a run for its money. I haven't always been an elf tribal kind of a guy, but I do like Lord of the Rings, and I do have a soft spot for the elves in Lord of the Rings. And the elves are part of this Scry Matters, and the Scry Matters is very powerful. So all those things coming together makes me pretty much like the deck. And we were hoping to find some decks that would work, so to speak, that we would like to take out repeatedly. And like a lot of the previous premades, you'd have wizards would make 10 premades, and maybe 5 of them would be I mean, they'd all be reasonably good, but 5 would be good enough that you could actually take them into ranked in the early rounds and match up a little bit if you were new to the game and you didn't have much with you. Chance Med Elves comes down, and right away we've got synergy. We get to attack for the first time. As soon as we attack, we scry, and the one time we scry, the elves get a +1 counter. So again, very excellent start. You can't really ask for too much better than that, except they take your 4/3 away. Great. Let's see. Let's bring in Glorfindel. There's no problem with us attacking against a 1/4. And we do need one more land for the desynchronize, so we'll take it. And it doesn't matter what we do here because Glorfindel is summoning sickness and can't attack. So we'll save this scry card for something else. Well, that just doesn't seem fair. Okay, let's just scry 3 then. We don't need that land. I guess that's okay, but we want to draw now, so we'll show the creature. And we'll get the creature. And we got to keep up some kind of momentum. So now we scry 2, that gets rid of another land that we don't need quite this minute. And we will pass because attacking won't do any good into that. We had a pretty good opening, but them able to get rid of 2 creatures right away is good enough for them to stalemate us for a while. Okay, so I guess we let that through. They've got to have some sort of trick. Bring this puppy down. Let's go ahead and attack with the guide here. And we're up against some trouble against all the poison. We don't have much choice left now, so there we go. That's their trick that they would have used before, so it doesn't really matter how much, does it? Okay, so we'll bring you down. We'll get some counters, so let's see. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We really need a little bit more, and they can't remove anything in order for us to survive from the poison. And they already have everything they needed. They had 4 removal spells, basically, with the 2 Annex sentries right up front. And they would have had the choice to put the card on top or bottom of their library. So if we'd used that already on Annex Sentry, they would have just put it on the top and we'd be right back where we were. So what's left? Yeah, good game. They just had everything they needed to remove each and every creature. If you're going up against somebody who has... If we are a creature-heavy deck, we are a creature-centric deck. If you go up and you have somebody who has 4 removals, there isn't a whole lot you can do. We want to order things as much as you can to maximize your scry ability, so we probably wait to put down the Chance Mad Elves on turn 3 and then bring in Nimrodel. Well, no. We could bring Nimrodel in now. That would still work. This is the one we want to wait on. Grey Havens comes in after Chance Mad Elves. They do not attack. I like that card. Alright, you can't be blocked, and you are 4-3. I think it's worth trying a first push here. Bond Warden ends up being just a little chump blocker. And we'll actually wait on the land. We'll maybe put down Nisa. Yeah, it might not make that much of a difference. You don't really have anything to do with the 1 extra mana. That's an alchemy card. First strike and lifelink? Gross. Let's see. If you gain life this turn, seek a card with the highest mana value among cards in your library with mana value less than or equal to the amount of life you gained. Lovely. Let's see. Whenever you attack with 1 or more elves, you scry 1. Okay. If we do scry 1, this one can't be blocked. We could take the extra land for Marwyn's Kindred, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. Trigger, trigger, trigger. The elves get to 5-4. We're hoping they block with Cerise. With the first strike. It doesn't really matter, right? We've got the instant. They can't block with Crawling Chorus, so they can chump block with the Charmed Stray, but they've got to be suspicious. So actually, we hope they don't block, so we can just get through with 5 points of damage. Oh, they can't block with Crawling Chorus. Sorry, I was thinking of the other kind. Okay, so we just use this to take out Cerise. Get rid of 1 Crawling Chorus. Now it gets the Might That Can't Block. And we've got 5 creatures on our front line here. Okay, we add the green, and that gives us the ability to make 3 elves. Which means Marwyn's going to come down to the 4-4. And then we just attack with everybody. We get to scry, we'll take that scry. More triggers. opponent are still alive thanks to the lifelink, but they only got rid of one creature. So if they don't have a board wipe, we're pretty much done here. An indestructible poisonous mite. Pretty decisive that time. So the secret to defeating them is really just creature removal. You need a lot of removal against these things. Just like a regular elf deck or a goblin deck, there's so much synergy built up. As soon as you get 2 or 3 of them in the same room together, they're just unbeatable. I like being able to scry anyway. I've always appreciated the value of it. There's what we want. We'll take all of that. Reveal the creature. And we can bring something down with untapped mana next turn as well. They're still setting up, so we will set up. Create food, create food. And so they can make that into a 5/4. Let's see if the card draw from Tribute to the World Tree helps put us over the top. No, we're not going to block. Let's do, they're tapped out, right? What do we want to put down next? Lone Speaker. Get some counters. We don't attack yet because we're not doing any of the scrying. Opponent does not miss a land drop. That's a Lord of the Rings card. Give me some counters. Okay, between Bite Down, the World Tree Tribute, the Mirror, the Lone Speaker, that's most of the stuff that is not involved directly with scrying. This is involved with scrying later, but it costs us. Gross. 2 food tokens and 2 counters. And why does it look like they have another Stew the Conies card? Do they have enough mana for that? That's all treasures. Well, they have a sheriff. Ouch. Well, they basically emptied most of their hand in one turn. And what does that leave us with? Not much. Scry first. Yep, we'll take that. And pass the turn. Another food token means another counter. They should feel comfortable to just start flying over our head any moment now. We really need to kill Rosie. Still not attacking. Alright, I think we do Kindred first just because we may not have a better chance. So what is that, 4? Bunch of triggers. They can sacrifice 3 foods and just bring Rosie back. They've got so much they don't know what to do with it. Okay. So, as much of a pain as Rosie is, Samwise just brings her back. So, we start with Marwyn, do that. We go ahead and we bring down Galadrim Guide. Yeah, that's good. And tap you, bring you down. And activate. Pass the turn. We don't have anybody with reach, so even if we kill the 5/4, they can just put the hover wings on something else. I don't really think I have something to deal with artifacts. Create a 1/1 white halfling creature token. A land. Let's do some scrying. You can't be blocked. We start our attack. And we see if that prompts their flyer. We're going to give them a chance here. We're going to give them a turn and see if they've decided that they can't wait any longer. I don't know what they can do with that. You're going to sacrifice Rosie? Or no, you just tap them. Okay. So you tap them to get the life back up, and then you're going to... No, they still don't attack with the flyer. It's a little bit weird. We're getting card draw advantage every time. They've got all this life to gain. I guess they've decided that they need that as a defender in case I decide to bum rush them with everybody. Yep, there we go. Alright, they're trying to bloody my nose. Finally. I think we're done with the land. I feel like we finally have... well, I guess we're not done with the land. Okay, what do I want to start pumping up here? I guess just the one who can't be blocked, right? Yeah, I need to get some of these up to 5/5 as well. So, impede momentum on you. Yeah, all right. Reveal and draw. It reminds me almost of the Stonehenge type stuff. Do I have to worry about milling myself out? Next! 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they could all gang up to stop Marwyn. If they wanted to. I like that. More triggers. That one doesn't matter. Summoning Sickness will make you 13/13. And they just chump block. Now's the time to start using all your food tokens. Do they have something to destroy enchantments or artifacts? I just got that to 7. That's the source of my card draw. Maybe you should do that. Yeah, maybe you should do that. Mirror of Galadriel. That's the real dangerous one, right? This also gives me card draw. Sometimes. If they're 3 or greater. I'm going to have a card draw next one because of Tribute to the World Tree. Ah. That was the one card I wanted to try. We just got it where we wanted it. Okay, I'm definitely going to have to kill you now for that. Autopay. Submit 10. Submit 10. Every time we proliferate, we draw a card. That was lovely. Trigger, trigger, trigger. Must be blocked this turn if able. Gets +1/+1. Put another one on you. Target up to 2 creatures. And I think we don't bother using that. I think we just attack with everybody. More triggers. Must be blocked. Can't be blocked by more than 1. So we got to choose both of the abilities. And do that. Target up to 1 creature. Do you. Try. Scry does more triggers. Okay. I think that's enough triggers. You can block the 18/18 with a 1/1. They didn't want to do the math. Alright, we did lose 1. We got through all of our chores for the day. Let me go in, since that was such a long one, we'll end it there. Let me go in and pull up the deck one more time. This one was a really well put together deck. The way that they designed the Scry Matters cards for the Lord of the Rings expansion was very well put together as it was. So it wasn't like they needed a lot of help. So let's look at the cards that are not Lord of the Rings. We have 2 Impede Momentums, 2 Bite Downs, which is a good idea. 1 Loam Speaker gives us an extra mana generation, which is not bad. So that's only 5 regular cards, right? Nisa for our 6, and World Tribute to the World Tree is 7. And then desynchronize 2 copies of that. So 9 cards that are from the regular standard, only 1 Alchemy card, and then the rest are all Lord of the Rings that are basically the Scry Matters cards. And the ones that helped us with the card draw were just stellar. Absolute stars. Tribute to the World Tree fits in really well with this. You know, there's a nice mix of ones that are less than 3 power and ones that are greater than 3 power. So you can get the counters, and you know we have the Proliferate card for later that really pays off for the counters. The Mirror of Galadriel got cheaper as we went. Gave us some nice card draw, scry, and then draw. And in a deck where Scry matters, Having the benefits from just being able to scry one is good enough. Being able to draw after you scry is really icing on the cake. It's just really awesome. And having these two out along with Lost Isle Calling and being able to use all three each turn, that was overpowering. So the only thing we didn't get to do was actually exile Lost Isle Calling. And maybe, I don't know, I have to maybe review the tape. We had Marwyn up high enough. Maybe I could have just tapped Marwyn. I wasn't willing to at the time for whatever reason. I forget already. Because I wish I'd done it now. But maybe I could have just tapped Marwyn and taken the extra turn before they'd got that card draw. That was really bad. That was like the one worst card draw that they got on me. But I think this is probably one of my favorite decks out of the 10 so far. So I'll probably be playing this more, and I'll probably get to the point where I get to use this exile portion of Lost Isle Calling sooner or later. But we'll leave it there. Let me know what you think of the deck. Before I forget, first of all, like and subscribe, please. And there's a poll that I'm still keeping open on the community page. So go to YouTube, the YouTube channel for Tpull's Corner. Just click on community, and I've got a poll question there about how you think Wizards did in terms of creating these 10 premades and having them in Alchemy instead of Standard for a change. If you like the change, if it wasn't good enough for you, if it's encouraging you to try to do Alchemy more. I would say for me, the Lord of the Rings expansion was a really well put together expansion. It's a fun kind of thing. I usually don't have time to go into Alchemy, but if there's anything that tempts me, it's the Lord of the Rings cards being in Alchemy. They had to go in there because they're part of the Universes Beyond imprint. So if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, maybe that's enough to get over your antipathy towards Alchemy. But there's a poll up there, and I'm interested in your feedback on that. So and again, leave comments if you have any comments on this particular deck configuration. And we'll leave it there. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.